Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and just like with last week, we're going to do another quick comparison of a classic Transformer. This time we're going to take a look at the original and modern version of Kup. Before we do that, I want to give a quick shout out to Beth, who sent both not only this version of Kup to me, but she also sent Hot Rod that was viewed last week, and I forgot to give the shout out to her, so double shout out to Beth for the contributions to this channel, and without which we wouldn't be able to do this for all of you. At any rate, this here is Kup. Right here, of course, is the original Generation 1 toy. We just did a review featuring the Target Master version. And right here, of course, is the Titan's Return version of Kup. Of course, both of them are kind of brought up in the same colors and have some similarities with each other, most notably in the chest cavity, which is definitely made out to look like it's where the driver's compartment would be. And of course, another thing that both of them do share is in their appearances. They're both made to look considerably older than most of the other Transformers. Now, of course, Kup here in the new version is referred to as Sergeant Kup. So apparently Hasbro has lost the license to use Kup in the form of K-U-P. They lose it out to Mortal Kombat? At any rate, let's take a look at some of the articulation so we can do a good comparison. In the original one, we could rock his head back and forth a bit. He did have articulation at the elbow, so we could bend his arm at the elbow all the way around like that. There was a joint at the shoulder, so we could not only rotate the arm at the shoulder, we could also bend the arm at the shoulder a bit, and he did have articulation at his wrist. We could turn his wrist all the way around. So in a lot of ways, Kup here, in his original form, had almost all the upper body articulation that a G.I. Joe figure had. Now, for the new version of Kup, they've obviously upped their game since, like I said, the original, that was it. Couldn't do anything with his legs. This one here, thanks to the joint for the head, we can turn the head all the way around like so. We can also rotate his arm at the shoulder. You can spread his arms apart about so far. He does have a joint at the elbow, so he can bend his elbow at 90 degrees, and there's also a swivel at the bicep. There isn't a joint there at the wrist. It's more for transforming him, so it can allow his wrist to move side to side a bit. So he does have this one carries over the swivel arm battle grip. There is no real there is articulation at his waist used for transforming, so he can turn at the waist like so. You can also spread his legs apart like so. You can bend the leg up about 90 degrees and bend at the knee at 90 degrees, and you can also position the ankle. So you get quite a range of motion here out of these new toys. It's one of the major improvements that I myself have loved about these new toys. Now, at any rate, let's flip them over into their vehicle modes and take a look at how those turned out. Alright, now we get something real good here, folks. Now, while you saw earlier that the new toy's robot mode was a bit taller than the original toy, take a look here at the trucks, and, well, let's hold one above him, and you can see that the new one is considerably smaller and more compact than the original. So, quite an impressive feat for transforming him, making something totally different. Of course, the cab section is considerably bigger, but that's also to accommodate the headmaster partner, who this time around, instead of being called recoil like the target master gun is on the G1 toy, this time around Kup's partner is named Flintlock, which is of course named for the old style flintlock pistols and such that were the early forms of guns used back in the 1700s. So, interesting that they would change the name to that, but it does further reinforce the notion of Kup being old. But of course, don't discount out a flintlock pistol. Back then, they were pretty simple machines and pretty rugged and reliable. Sort of like how Kup is now. At any rate, even though this one does not have rubber tires like his original version does, let's get the old one out of the way here, and you can see this new one, it does roll just as good. In fact, it rolls a little bit better than the original one due to the added weight from the metal parts on it. So, I guess going all plastic on this new toy was certainly worth it. And of course, like with Hot Rod, we saw last week, we can take Kup's guns and mount them here just above the front wheels, and he has a pair of cannons. Which I like them kind of better here on Kup than I did on Hot Rod, simply due to the fact that they're positioned a little bit higher off the ground. They're still not perfect, but at least they are higher off the ground, so they won't drag as often. But of course, we can also do a nice throwback to the Target Master version by locking the guns together, and then you can mount them into either hole on the tailgate, and you have a turret gun. Doesn't have a whole lot of range of motion due to all the posts and such that are in the bed of the truck, but it does provide enough coverage to deter tailgaters. So, I kind of like it. It's a nice improvement over the original. The original was a decent toy in its own right. Of course, this new one doesn't fix the same problem. There's still really no tailgate to speak of because the bed's up so high in Kup's truck mode that carrying cargo in him is still kind of a useless gesture, but overall, I think the toy is a nice improvement over the original and a great throwback to the original and to its Target Master forms. So it shows that the designers behind these toys are paying some attention to their originals and trying to honor the memory that we, the older fans of Transformers, have for them. So, I would definitely say this one's a nice improvement, folks. But then again, I want to know what you think. Feel free to leave a shout out in the comments down below. Tell me what you think of the new version of Kup. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.